We're now at the fifth Mishnah in the third chapter of Mesechet Kinim. A Mishnah which I believe requires the student to do more homework than any other Mishnah here. And I'll show you what the homework is, but I'm not going to go through all the cases which I think that the Mishnah suggests. My intention is only to show you how to get through this easily the first time and to be able to go to the commentators and Maforshim. But there is some other interesting spin-offs here which I'd like to mention. The Mishnah is like this. Chatas shenitar ba becholva. Chatas gets mixed up with the cholva. Again, in the situation of Kohen Nimach, in the situation where the Kohen thought everything was okay and did according to his understanding, but he really didn't understand what the case was. Ein kasher the communion chatas shebechova. You're only going to have as many valid as the number of chatases that were in the chova. Another case, chova shnayim b'chatas. We have twice as many chovas as chatas birds, and they're mixed together, and the Kohen didn't understand, and he did them. Meksa kosher, meksa pasul. Half of them are kosher and half of them are pasul. Chatas shnayim b'chova. You have twice as many chatases as you have chova birds. Haminin shebechova kasher. The number of birds in the chova is kasher. And likewise, the symmetric cases for Ola. The Kain Ola shenitar ba b'chova. Olas that get mixed up with chova, and the Kohen uses them half above and half below. Ein kasher the communion. Ola shebechova. Only the number of olas that are in the chova would be kosher. Bechatas chova shnayim ba'ola. If there's twice as many chova birds as there are ola, meksa kosher or meksa pasul. Half of the total number of kosher are kosher and half pasul when he used half above and half below. But ola shnayim b'chova. Ola, there's twice as many as chova birds. Haminian shebachova. The number of the chova birds are kosher. So let's see the diagrams to see what it is, and then I'll show you what the homework is, because it's a really very interesting problem. I'm going to slightly deviate from the exact language of the Mishnah to make it easier to understand. We have three cases that they're showing us. We have a case of chatases that get mixed up with chovas. And so the worst case is the two chatases were used above, the two chova birds were used below, and only one of the chova birds is good. That's ein kosher the communion chatas shebachova. There's only as many kosher as there were chatases in the chova. Because the worst case is the chatases got used as olas, so that's the way it works out. Okay. Second case is that I have chatases and I have chova birds. And there are twice as many chova birds as there are chatases. So the chatas, the ola of the chova is good, and two chatases of the chova is good, and that's half and half. That's the meksa kosher, meksa pasul. The third case is that I had twice as many chatases as I have chova birds. And the result is that the chatas for sure is good, and one of the chatases of the chova is good, and that's the number of the same as the number of the chova birds. Here it's half, and here it's the number of chatases that were in the chova. Now, it's the same if you would substitute chatases for ola. The reason I think this is a very interesting Mishnah is because really what they're telling me is if I have one number of chatas birds and an even number, and another even number of chova birds, and I divide those half and half in the worst case, there are three different specific locations which show me transition states. But if I had 3 times the number of chatas birds, or 4 times, or 5 times, or if I had 3 or 4 or 5 times the number of chova birds, then I would see a complete graph of transition states, and I think this would be very, very interesting for people who are working in sets of dependencies, as I mentioned earlier, such as in bosons and fermions, but I don't really have the formulation, nor is this the form, to try to show all of those transition states. This per se is the Mishnah, but I think it's very suggestive of some other interesting problems in statistics and probably in quantum statistics itself.